Here's a Passover story called Let My People Go. So on the cover here, this looks like, who do you think this is? Moses. And this one is Pharaoh. This book is written by Tilda Balsley and illustrated by Eileen Richard. Let My People Go. A burning bush, and it began. As God told Moses, here's my plan, but Moses was a simple man. I just don't think I can. God wouldn't hear the answer no, and said, with Aaron you will go to lead my people from Pharaoh. Tell him that your God said so. Right, so at this time, all of the Jews were slaves in the land of Egypt under Pharaoh. They worked very hard, and they didn't get paid. They didn't want to live like that. So Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. Our God says, let my people go. And Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. A big mistake. He did not know that God would deal a mighty blow. Their God has turned our water red. No more fish. They all are dead. Where's some water we can drink? We cannot stand this bloody stink. Then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. Our God says, let my people go. And Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. So even though God had sent the plague of turning the river red with blood, killing all the fish, Pharaoh still wouldn't let the Jewish slaves go. Frogs were Pharaoh's next nightmare. He cried, they're hopping everywhere. Tell God to send the frogs away. Then you can go without delay. They're in my oven, in my bed. I think a frog jumped on my head. So Moses prayed, and the frogs were dead. Then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. Our God says, let my people go. But Pharaoh, he shouted, no, no, no. Egyptians cried, oh no, now gnats covering cows and dogs and cats, covering us from head to toe. Please, Pharaoh, let those people go. Then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. Our God says, let my people go. And Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. All those bugs didn't make him change his mind either. God spread the ground with nasty flies, but Pharaoh answered only lies. Pharaoh said, I'll let your people leave this place. Just get these flies out of my face. When Moses said, it's done, we'll go, Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. Soon animals began to die. Egyptians pleaded, hear our cry. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, why? But Pharaoh still would not comply. Then Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh. Our God says, let my people go. But Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. Egyptians moaned and cried in dread to see their skin turn purply red, and nasty boils begin to spread. But Pharaoh was an old hard head. When Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh, our God says, let my people go. Pharaoh shouted, no, no, no. Ooh, even though the Egyptians were covered with those painful sores, Pharaoh still said no to letting the Jewish slaves go. God continued the campaign with hail and thunder, mighty rain. There'd never been a worse event. It looked like Pharaoh might relent. When Moses spoke to mean Pharaoh, our God says, "Let my people go." Pharaoh shouted, "No, no, no." Now God sent down a new command, and Moses, with his outstretched hand, sent hungry locusts through the land. Said Pharaoh, "This I cannot stand. Leave Egypt now as you have planned." But when the people packed to go, Pharaoh changed his mind and shouted, "No, no, no." Look at what those locusts were doing. They were eating all the food. Then Egypt had 3 days of night, while Israelites enjoyed God's light. So Pharaoh, tired of the fight, said, "Wives and children all can go. You cannot take your livestock, though." He really didn't mean it, so he soon was shouting, "No, no, no." 3 days and nights where it was totally dark in Egypt for Pharaoh, but not for the Jewish slaves. It was light. And then he said some of the slaves could go, and then changed his mind. God, through Moses, said, "Beware. This plague is bad beyond compare. Death to every firstborn son, from royal born to poorest one. But sons of Israel I will spare. So listen now, you must prepare." God said he would kill the firstborn son in every Egyptian family. But if the Jewish slaves marked their door with lamb's blood, then those firstborn sons would not die. And as God struck this final blow, Pharaoh shouted, "Go, go, go!" Pharaoh did not want his own son to die. The end. So the Jewish slaves packed up their things and left Israel very, very quickly. They took their unbaked bread dough, put it in their bags, and in the hot, hot desert sun, it baked into flat crackers. And now during Passover, we eat flat crackers called matzah. I hope you enjoyed this story.